Good afternoon and welcome back to another retro gaming repairs restoration video. This is number 11 for the Xbox restoration and giveaway. Today we are going to be installing the SATA hard drive. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack on this episode because yes, I do use the green SATA adapters. A lot of people hate them. I personally, I don't have any preference towards either one. If it works, it works. And what I've noticed from these is they're either going to work when you get them or they're not going to work when you get them. And the easiest way to tell if it's going to work is whether or not the light pops up. So if you get your little red light on the back of it, 99% of the time it's going to work and you're not going to have any issues with it. Of about 100 of these that I've put in machines, I've only had one come back. But they do have a high failure rate, so if you're not going to buy a lot of them at a time, you might want to go with one of the red StarTechs. I usually get 10 to 20 of these at a time and usually send back 4 or 5 of them. So there is a high DOA rate on these because they are made out of China. But it's not too bad if you're getting a few of them and you can send them back, you know, go ahead and use these. They're a heck of a lot cheaper than the StarTech ones. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be swapping out this drive. This is for the contest. The drive that I'm putting in here is a used Hitachi Death Star drive. It is a 7200 RPM. I've had quite a few of these in systems. They do not get that hot. And the extra RPMs is good for loading things up. So I'm going to pull this all out real quick. And we are going to move the system out of the way. And I'm going to start putting this in for you guys. Now, on the hard drive with the adapter, you're going to need to make some modifications to your setup so that you don't ground out your adapter. The way it was designed, there's nothing that protects the power socket from bumping up against the metal on your hard drive, and that will lead to the adapter dying and possibly even the hard drive dying. I've had one hard drive die accidentally bumping one during testing, and that was not fun. So we'll go ahead and get this out of here, and then we will start prepping the new drive to be put in. And as I stated in earlier videos, this drive, because the system had already been one'd out, the hard drive key had been changed to all ones. All I had to do is just swap out the drive. I don't have to do any cloning of the drive in the system or anything like that. I could just pop in another drive just like that. So what we're going to do today is, if you'll notice, here are your power pins, and I'm sure this is probably going to be blurry because it's set to focus down near the table, well, probably about right here. These pins will bump up into this part of the metal when it's plugged in, if you're not careful. There is a little bit of space in between them, as you can see, and this drive is actually a thinner profile drive, but if bumped on the bigger drives, which, you know, this is one of the reasons why I like using these, because of the fact that it is a little bit more protected. The bigger drives will make contact there and it will cause it to short out. So I get these, and they're basically little knick-knack or like lamp, or I don't know what you want to call it. It's basically felt that goes underneath things that you stick on tables to keep tables from getting scratched up. But as they are, they're too big and it bows out the adapter. So I trimmed down about halfway with a razor, and it works so much better if you have a sharp razor. So don't try to kill yourself with a dull razor, please. You'll wind up cutting yourself. And I just trim this all the way up to about half the thickness that it was originally. And then when you lay your adapter on, it won't go past that point. And it's just thick enough so that it doesn't bow out the adapter, and it will keep your drive protected. Now this one doesn't really need it as much, but I still put it in these lower profiles because it gives something to push up against if it does get pushed. That way it doesn't break off your SATA connector here at the bottom. So it's a little bit of preventative practice doing this. Cost a little bit more on each of my mods, about 20 cents, 25 cents extra, but it prevents problems down the road. So it's definitely worth it. Now, I have had a few systems that I've shipped out over the last year and a half that were, let's just say that the Postal Service kind of abused the packages. And, the systems arrived, they weren't damaged, they weren't cracked, they weren't, anything like that. But the SATA adapter came unplugged from the hard drive. So anytime I send out a system now, it gets a little glue. So what I do is I basically put the adapter on and then I slide it out just a teeny bit so that you can see the gold connectors underneath. And I use E6000. It's basically like a commercial grade rubber cement, and this is what I use to do my feet on the bottom of the Xbox. So I basically just get a little bit of this on my finger, and I want to rub it on this piece right here so that it goes down into the crack just a little bit. I don't want it to push a lot of it down in there and cover up the contacts. I just want to get a little bit down into that crack so that when I push it closed, it's going to seal it. And then from here, I add a little bit of painter's tape to that glue on the outside of it to just give it a little bit more reinforcement. And then I trim off the excess. And this basically is going to keep the drive in place during shipping, and it's easily removable if you ever want to swap out your drive. But I'm telling you, if you ever ship a system, if you don't do this, 9 times out of 10 that system's gonna, well, not 9 times out of 10, I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but a large percentage of the time, if it's mishandled, that the SATA adapter is going to come unplugged. But I've only had maybe 2 or 3 packages that have been mishandled that way, and all but one has arrived in a non-working condition. It would boot up, but of course, it would blink flashing red and green. I'm sorry, it may be the afternoon for me, but I'm still not completely awake. So at this point, we've got the glue on here, and it will hold everything in place. We want to make sure the adapter is set at master, which it is, and then we'll go ahead and mount it in the caddy. And you don't need to wait for it to dry. It's going to stay in place because of that tape for now, as long as you're not really forcefully pulling out the IDE cable. But as long as you're just putting in the IDE cable, you shouldn't have to worry about it before it dries. I've never had any issues with that. I need to get another bit set. This one, the bits are starting to wear, so they sometimes miss gripping, and I'm starting to see that some of the screws are ending up stripped. So I have another set here somewhere. I just have to find it. And one last screw. And I would be putting on the jewel today. I'm going to wait until we get closer to the end. You know, after I post the presentation video, I'll just post it without the jewel actually being glued on. That way I can give 3 days, like I said, to see whether or not there's enough to bump it up to the next achievement. If it goes up to the next achievement, that's the controller and cables. But that, me displaying that, could get views and give more time for it to possibly go up to the 1000, which would be a full paint job on the case, which I think would be kind of cool to do on this giveaway. But worst case scenario, if I don't, what I may do is, for another contest, I'll do a custom paint job on, say, like a 1.4 or something like that, and do a giveaway for that, just, you know, the case itself, and then you'll have to transplant the guts. But I think that would be a cool giveaway. And one of them possibly, I'm sorry, I blew into the microphone. I was trying to blow off the system. That didn't sound right. One of them possibly will be a Mountain Dew clone. And I'm still working on getting jewels. I've got some on order, and I'm waiting to see what my the first one comes in looking like. It's supposed to be a sample, but they say it will be just like what the end result will be. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I will have that sample. But it's possible I might even do a Mountain Dew clone case to give away. So let's go ahead and put this back together. Make sure that your trays are sitting down properly. And we will plug this in. And I always push my fingers back behind when I'm pushing this in. That way it doesn't put too much pressure on it. And put the ID in, IDE cable, and we are done. And in the next video I will do a presentation that will show it up and running, what it looks like with everything going with the LEDs, and so that you can see the mod itself. Anyway, until next time, guys, y'all take care. Remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment below to get your entry into the contest.